We are tracking this breaking story. Midday court documents show Memphis rapper Finesse 2X and his girlfriend Xiaogo were arrested in Texas. Here are those mugshots. The rapper, legally named Ricky Hampton, is facing possession charges for substances, including marijuana. When you call yourself Finesse 2X, the universe finds a twisted way to turn that brand against you. Right now, that is exactly what is happening to one of Memphis's biggest stars. At just 33 years old, he has gone from a viral sensation to a courtroom defendant. After performing at a Little Rock, Arkansas nightclub on Saturday morning, he was arrested on unrelated charges following a mass shooting at the venue. Authorities took Ricky Hampton into custody on a fugitive warrant out of Forest City, Arkansas. However, police have made no arrests regarding the shooting inside the Power Ultra Lounge. He went from packing out arenas to finding absolutely nobody willing to book his show. And as if things could not get worse, he just lost a six-figure lawsuit to a promoter he tried to cheat. 6 figures. Just gone. Money he simply does not have. This is how a man who built his brand around finessing got finessed by life itself. And believe us, it is more tragic than anything on his social media. Before we dive into that, subscribe and let us look at who he really is. If you only know him from viral internet clips, you are missing the bigger picture. This is not just about a rapper who lost his momentum. We are looking at a man whose entire life has been a painful uphill climb against the streets, the industry, and now the judicial system. At 33, he is fighting all of these battles at once with no safety net. When you examine this timeline chronologically, the pieces of his tragic story start to connect in a heavy way. His path could have gone in many different directions, but let us look at what actually happened. Let us take you back to Memphis, Tennessee. If you know that city, you know it is not for the faint of heart. This city has birthed some of the most raw, authentic voices in hip-hop history. 3 6 Mafia built an entire subgenre out of that unique local energy. Young Dolph famously turned his street credibility into a major business empire before his life was cut short. Yo Gotti carved out a highly consistent career in rap by staying true to his roots. Memphis has always operated on its own distinct frequency and code of conduct. Finesse 2 times, born Ricky Hampton, grew up in that very environment. He was not dreaming of record deals during middle school talent shows. He was not some suburban kid discovering rap beats on YouTube and chasing easy internet fame. He lived the very life he rapped about. That reality gave his music an undeniable edge, but it also kept pulling him back into dangerous situations that had nothing to do with hip-hop. Our team often notices a heavy tension Memphis artists carry between the struggle that raised them and the life they are trying to build. That deep friction is what makes the music so authentic, but it also makes their journey incredibly treacherous. While growing up in Memphis, Ricky Hampton witnessed the unglamorous side of the streets, a world where the consequences are never just a punchline or a social media flex. They are things you carry forever. In that environment, the pressure to survive by any means necessary is a daily reality, not an abstract concept. That background shaped him in ways that success could never undo, but it also provided a raw perspective that nobody can buy or fake. When Finesse rapped about that life, he was not using his imagination or stealing other people's stories. He spoke his own truth, and listeners immediately felt that raw connection. Now, as commentators, we must point out that his rise was not overnight and his music did not come easy. He did not just post a single track on SoundCloud and wake up famous. He spent years working behind the scenes before his name ever went viral. He recorded during any studio time he could find, building his reputation show by show. He earned his city's support the hard way, showing up consistently and staying visible in the local hip-hop culture. He let his tracks speak for themselves. Memphis is a city where local respect matters more than a major label budget. The community has a long memory and demands real authenticity. You cannot fake your way into their hearts without getting called out publicly. So, when local tastemakers finally began pushing his music and building that organic groundswell, his reputation as the next guardian of the Memphis sound was completely earned, not manufactured. That kind of credibility travels fast across southern markets, catching the attention of major music curators who know Memphis artists have to be legitimate to survive. His style was undeniable. That signature Memphis cadence combined a slow-rolling delivery with massive impact. His storytelling put you right in the room instead of just describing it from a distance. This music was made for late nights when the weight of life sits heavy on you. You cannot learn that style by watching tutorials. It comes from surviving a specific reality, and Finesse had that gift naturally. He painted vivid pictures with his words. He made you feel the harsh texture of the environment he described. In an industry flooded with copycats chasing cheap trends, his rootedness stood out like a beacon of real hip-hop. The records caught fire locally, then regionally, until the algorithms pushed him to new audiences who had never even heard modern Memphis rap. Be sure to like this video if you want more updates. These new listeners connected instantly because the struggle requires no translation. It is a universal language. Realness sells. We watched Finesse 2 times rap with a grit that felt authentic and lived in. But as commentators, we saw things get wild, just as his music gained real national traction. Unforgiving curveballs kept coming. Not the kind you can easily dodge, but heavy baggage from a past that simply refuses to let go. As commentators, we see how this deviates from the standard fame story. This man was locked up before Memphis even spread his name. We are not reporting on a single arrest or some minor incident blown up by media outlet. Our analysis shows a recurring cycle of multiple prison stints that derailed his career at the worst times. Right as heavy industry momentum was building, and massive opportunities were finally becoming real for him, he faced serious drug and weapon charges from street life. As editors, we know the real damage was not just cell time, but how his entire musical foundation crumbled while he was forced away from the scene. Let us examine what actually happens to an independent artist's career during months of total silence. New listeners quickly migrate to whoever drops a fresh track that Friday. Crucial playlist placements vanish because streaming algorithms demand constant new music to keep artists visible. Promising collaborations die quietly because other rappers will not wait around for an unavailable artist. A&R label talks get shelved because executives avoid investing in unpredictable artists. Every single arrest was more than just a brief career pause. It forced a complete reset, pushing him backward. Yet the fascinating irony we observed was that his talent never faded. Whenever Finesse 2 times was released, his skill remained untouched. The voice, the sharp pen, all still elite. His magnetic stage presence remained strong. But this fast-paced music industry never waits on raw talent alone. Hip-hop demands momentum. Breaking that momentum repeatedly makes comebacks incredibly hard without major backing. Each time Finesse came home, he could not simply pick up where he left. He returned to a rap landscape that had advanced a whole season without him. Trends had changed. Former rookies were now major stars, and key playlists had cycled his older tracks out completely. Our editorial staff noted that debates over the next Memphis star now featured entirely new names. He had to re-enter the competitive game gracefully. As commentators know well, nothing kills a street rapper's vital credibility faster than looking desperate for attention. Balancing true authenticity while evolving to stay current is arguably the hardest tightrope walk for any artist in modern rap. Repeating this cycle alone without an experienced management team to navigate these major comebacks is nearly impossible to execute. In our opinion, most music critics heavily underestimate this forced inconsistency when trying to analyze why he is not further along today. Let us also look at the heavy emotional toll that commentators rarely discuss. Imagine building a career from scratch, watching it thrive, almost grasping the major success you have chased for years, only to watch it get shattered, rebuild, get close, and then lose it all over again. Eventually, that cycle goes beyond frustration. It starts deeply impacting your own self-worth and mental state. You begin questioning the future and wondering if your relentless grind will ever yield stability. As commentators, we see how real this psychological erosion is. It is invisible on streaming charts and booking reports, but it completely dictates the decisions made from a mindset of constant defeat. Then, the narrative shifted, and he finally secured his major breakthrough moment. A massive, viral breakthrough. His tracks connected far beyond Memphis and regional borders that usually limit street rap stars. Our reports show the internet locked in, permanently changing his career trajectory. Viral clips flooded social media. New listeners who didn't know him 3 months ago suddenly claimed they were day one fans. His natural charisma fully translated through phone screens. For once, his exhausting grind through setbacks seemed ready to pay off on a massive global scale. Drop a like if you agree. This explosive buzz caught the eye of a legendary industry kingpin, J. Prince of Rap-A-Lot Records. If you follow the deep history of rap instead of shallow social media posts, and understand the heavy behind-the-scenes infrastructure of this culture, you know the name J. Prince. We are talking about the architect behind Scarface, UGK, Bun B, and giants who define Southern rap. His massive influence in the streets and corporate boardrooms opens doors others will never reach. A J. Prince stamp of approval carries weight far beyond any standard record contract. It represents a clear statement about exactly where you stand in the hierarchy of modern hip-hop. As commentators, we recognize what this meant for Finesse. He came from nothing, grinding for years with zero corporate support. He repeatedly rebuilt his entire musical career from jail cells, lacking the industry resources that privileged artists take for granted. Now, one of the most powerful kingpins in rap history is openly declaring this man is worth a major investment. That is ultimate personal validation, not just business. Subscribe and tell us if you would sign too. Before we start, subscribe. That hype always drowns out the voice telling you to slow down, get a lawyer, and read every single line. You are not thinking about revenue splits and exit clauses. You are only thinking about what this major cosign changes for your family. Our reports confirm the contract Finesse 2 times signed with Mob Ties was a 360 deal. Let us break down what that actually means in practice. A standard record deal is already a massive commitment. The label takes a percentage of your music sales to fund your recording, handle distribution, and bankroll your marketing. But a 360 deal completely rewrites that. Under this contract, the label takes a piece of every revenue stream an artist generates. It is not just music sales, but touring income, merchandise revenue, brand endorsements, acting roles, appearances, and sponsorships. Every dollar that flows through your career in any form, the label has a contractual claim to a cut. Labels justify these massive demands by claiming their investment in developing an artist builds the brand that drives all those other income sources. On paper, that logic actually makes sense, but the reality is brutal for artists who do not understand. They might generate massive revenue on paper while actually taking home only a tiny fraction of it themselves. You can pull millions of streams and sell out major shows, yet still struggle financially. The contract structure means your money is gone before it ever hits your bank account. Which brings us back to the timing of this deal, because the context is absolutely everything. Finesse sat down at the table with huge hype, but his legal history had also left him financially depleted and running far behind where he should have been. He had zero savings from his early career because those crucial years were constantly getting interrupted by lockups. He also lacked an established management team with the power needed to fight back against unfavorable contract terms. He had massive momentum, a hot name, and urgent financial need. That toxic mix of sudden hype and heavy financial pressure is exactly how artists sign deals they would normally run from. This 360 contract placed a permanent ceiling on everything he could build. Once the checks started coming, and the math fell short of expectations, his motivation to keep grinding within those tight constraints naturally eroded away. Why pour your soul into a music rollout when the financial rewards are filtered through a system that was never built in your favor? That is not laziness. It is a logical response when your hard work does not yield the rewards you earned. And that exact reaction, that gradual pullback of effort, directly caused the delayed music releases, the lack of promotion, and the messy booking situation that followed. The show offers started drying up. Not all at once, but gradually, like a slow leak you do not notice until the tire is completely flat. Headlining major venues with real crowds got replaced by opening slots at tiny clubs. His performance fees plummeted. Soon, certain markets stopped calling entirely. Promoters run strict data before booking anyone. And when your social media engagement starts to stall, when new rollouts slow down, and when negative legal headlines keep attaching to your name in search results, the promoter's risk calculation changes. Promoters will quickly choose a safer act, even with far less talent. This compounding downward spiral quietly destroyed the very infrastructure of his career, even while his cultural buzz remained high enough that the public assumed everything was fine. That massive gap between public perception and private reality is a devastating place for an artist to exist. Everyone on the outside sees only the clout, but you know that hype is not translating into actual stability. Now, subscribe to our channel, because this next chapter went public in the worst way imaginable. An independent promoter locked in a booking, negotiated terms, and paid up front to have Finesse 2 times headline their event. It is a standard transaction. Both sides agree on a fee. The promoter markets the show, you perform, and everyone walks away happy. Except that is not what happened. Finesse 2 times allegedly pocketed the deposit money, and then flat out refused to show up. But this was no ordinary no-show. Reports surfaced that he actually sent his own brother to the gig in his place. Yes, his brother. He did not send the artist on the flyers, the face of the promotion, or the main draw people paid hard-earned money to see. Think about the massive fallout from that single decision. The fans who showed up specifically for Finesse, and the promoter who sank thousands into production. It was all built on a house of cards that got pulled apart. Naturally, The promoter immediately lawyered up and filed a lawsuit. The damages they demanded in court covered the full financial disaster, not just the booking fee, but marketing costs and ticket refund liabilities, lost projected revenue, and the severe reputational damage that comes with having your event implode publicly in your home market. Independent promoters do not have deep corporate pockets to absorb those losses. The court ruled for the promoter, leaving Finesse with a permanent, six-figure judgment he simply cannot pay. The music earnings after Mob Ties cuts their heavy percentage simply are not generating that kind of cash flow. With bookings dry, performance money is not filling the gap, and that judgment continues to sit there and gather interest, ready to seize any real income the second his career recovers. It is a trap that tightens daily. At 33 years old, that is the heavy weight Ricky Hampton carries. Between a deep legal history and a restrictive record deal that limits what he can build from his music, a frozen booking market, and a massive six-figure civil judgment on top of it. Many of us in the newsroom say he brought this on himself, and accountability is essential. That promoter situation was a calculated choice with genuine victims, and the court made that clear. But if that is where our analysis stops, we miss the broader story of what this industry does to artists who enter without protection. As commentators, we see a direct, clear connection between signing a bad 360 contract and eventually making desperate financial moves later. If multiple jail bids constantly disrupt your music career, without any solid infrastructure to protect your brand, extreme pressure will compromise your judgment. If you are locked into this hip-hop drama, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Our editorial team knows these aren't excuses. It is vital context. The rap game has always been rigged to favor powerful industry executives over young artists who start with absolutely nothing but raw talent. The MATI contract remains legally binding, and the court judgment is fully valid. It is all official. Yet, none of these agreements were drafted with Ricky Hampton's long-term interests as the priority. That is the real tragedy here, not just the legal lawsuit. The real heartbreak is that a gifted Memphis rapper had all the tools to build a lasting legacy, but the system ensured those resources remained just out of reach during his most critical moments. If you want more deep dives like this, hit that like button to support our news channel. At 33 years old, his story is far from over. Artists have bounced back from worse situations, but his road is narrow and requires major support that he will have to fight incredibly hard to rebuild. His natural talent remains undeniable. Memphis gave him that gift, and absolutely nobody can take it away. As editors, we have to wonder if everything else can finally align to let his gift breathe and become a lasting foundation. Right now, our newsroom does not have a definitive answer to that critical question. And that lingering doubt for a man who has fought this hard to survive in the music business is truly the most tragic thing.